This is why relationships don't last these days, in my humble, non-expert opinion. Too many unhealed people, gender norms have been diluted, and we have a higher standard for partnership and happiness.
Hookup culture. I feel like that's all anyone wants these days.
Hookup culture is a huge thing.
I think that this is sort of like an unpopular opinion, especially among men. I definitely do think that girls have a harder time when it comes to dating. Because like a guy will always argue like, oh, like they're the ones that are expected to make the first move and like a girl just has to like sit there and wait. But I think it's so much easier for a guy to find like a pretty like good girl, like a pretty and like a well-versed girl.
45% of Gen Z men have never approached a woman to ask her out on a date or like, some kind of romantic excursion.
Meeting a man at the bar and actually ending up dating that man in this generation is an elite feeling.
The negative impacts is that it's all young men. And I parallel that with, or dovetail that with Pew Research, which says that 63% of young men are single. And that's the highest it's ever been. And 50% of those young men have no interest in dating, not even casually.
I look at Gen Z and they are having less sex than ever. They're having less commitments than ever. But they're committing to the new TikTok dance that's viral and trending. That same commitment you can take and turn it towards a significant other, a partner in crime.
Maybe I'm speaking out of my butthole, but I feel like a huge part of this friendship crisis, Gen Z loneliness epidemic, is that people get the ick too easily. People are not forgiving or tolerant to like little moments of human error.
Millennials ruin dating for Gen Z. How do you feel?
I don't feel that's the case. I feel like social media did that. I feel like there's too much
blaming social media app creators.
It's like a yes and a no.
Okay.
I'll say the app creators, yeah.
Oh, is the dating scene really that bad now? The other night, me and my boyfriend was at the bar we work at, and this guy comes up, shows mad love and this and that. He obviously knows we're in a relationship. He's telling my man how lucky he is, and then he was like, how do you do it? Like, how do you find love? He was like, it's so hard to find true love nowadays. He was saying how he was talking to this one girl, how he wants to start off getting to know each other as friends. We had told him that we were friends for 2 years, and he was like, I don't understand that, because I tried getting to know somebody as just a friend and they thought I was playing games. And I tried telling her, I'm not on games, I'm just really trying to get to know you, and if we work out and we seem to like each other, then we can take it to the next step and we can talk about it and be a little bit more serious. But she was just accusing me of like being on games, and then she ended everything with me and she just went back to her ex. Yo, is the dating scene really that bad now? It's crazy how people are so afraid of getting close nowadays, to the point where people don't even want to be friends with you because maybe you got trust issues, you feel like they got somebody on the side, you want to guarantee. But it's like you want to guarantee that bad, except you don't want to put the time and energy into making sure that this thing becomes a guarantee. It takes two to tango, okay? We are really living in a world where people want the relationship, what it comes with. They want the good stuff, the fun, the pictures, the goals, and all that. But when it comes down to really putting in the time and the work into it, they don't want it as much. It's crazy.
So, is Gen Z having less sex? Short answer, yes. Now, I know this might come as a surprise for all those people that love to talk about having Riz on TikTok, but apparently we're all having less sex. And that's according to studies. So there's this study released by Rutgers University and the University of Albany in January. It said that young Americans aged between 18 to 23 were having 14% less casual sex. And that means sex outside of a relationship in comparison to those a decade before. In Australia, this ABC Australia Talk survey found that people between 18 to 24, 40% had never had sex. And in the UK, UCL-led research found that 1 in 30 14-year-olds in the UK had never had sexual or oral intercourse. If you compare that to people born in the 80s and 90s, over 30% said they had sex before the age of 16. Just a little side note, but what you need to remember with these studies is that they show what people are willing to share, and they may not be perfect. So Vice asked some people why this might be the case, and most of them said that there was a higher focus on the self. So Kara stepped away from sex for 3 years and after working through some of her insecurities, realized that she just wanted to be with someone that she trusted. Lucy said she got lost in the nonsense and said that she didn't do as much for herself as she wanted. And then Drew said, I did it for me. Other people theorized that our generation is more accepting to not having sex because there's more awareness around sexuality, consent, and body autonomy. And with those changing attitudes, sex just might not be one of those things that people boast about anymore. Think back to the 80s or 90s when young guys were being chastised for still being virgins. Do you think that would still happen today? Maybe, but I don't really know anyone that would. So Chloe Comby, that wrote this book, said sex is a little bit like booze. That there was once glamour in the excess, and now that's changed with the rise of anti-excess. She also said, I think Gen Z's attitudes to sex have been subsumed into that mindset that actually there's something very respectable in saying no, whether for more personal or bigger reasons like growth or spirituality. So it's hard to put a blanket statement on an entire generation. Some people are going to be having sex and other people aren't going to be having sex. But it's obvious our culture is changing. As Drew says, celibacy is nothing to be ashamed of. It means you're exercising choice over where you're putting your time and energies.
This is from Psychology Today. Rates of sexual activity have been in a decline for years. The drop is most pronounced for adults under the age of 25, Gen Z. For Gen Z, a rise in sexlessness. I didn't even know that was a word.
Y'all, therapists are talking. So according to this article, these are the top 5 sex issues that Gen Zers have. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first one is trouble communicating boundaries and desires with partners. Okay, so number 2 is the pressure to define or label their sexuality. Number 3 is feeling marginalized or excluded from sexual communities. Now, I did not expect number 4, but apparently receiving unsolicited explicit photos is a big thing. And the last one is performance anxiety.
My first dating experiences were on dating apps, which is wild. I hear about young men not wanting to approach women. There's a lot of concerns about rejection. Women are now saying they want to be approached, but obviously so many women are just like, oh, that's creepy. There are nuances in dating and approaching women and starting relationships that you kind of have to just learn. And my generation, I don't think we've ever had to do that. I went to UCLA. I went in as a junior and I joined a sorority because I wanted to have like the all-American traditional experience. And I was sitting in a room with my dig. They were shocked that I'd never been on Tinder. I was a virgin. It was just like, this is insane. How could you? And I found out later on, these girls had multiple and very and relationship-wise ahead of me. There's no hazing allowed at UCLA, but they kind of made a joke and they're like, this is gonna be your hazing. You need to get on dating apps. My college boyfriend met on Hinge. That was how I dated. People online, when I'm reading in the comment section, like, I don't know how to approach somebody. I'm so nervous. Girls not knowing how to respond. It's because we've completely lost that.
And this is what modern women are, even in Gen Z relationships, even in Gen Z dating. This is how a lot of men end up lonely, or alone, I should say. This is why a lot of men stay single, is because you're talking about women that have gone to these clinics not once, not twice, but multiple times. This is routine for them. Hooking up, being irresponsible is routine. I know it probably happened before Gen Z, but this is where we are in the state of dating. This is where we are in the state of relationships. And this is why men are saying, I just can't. I would love to have a companion. I would love to have a wife. I would love to have kids, but I really just can't. It pains me. I'm looking at it. It's a terrible investment. A lot of men in the comments say high mileage. And I hate that it has to be said that way. It sounds rude, but listen, this is the state of Gen Z dating. This is the state of modern dating in general. This is why so many women, modern women, end up lonely, is because of decisions like this. Just like this. Irresponsibility. You're not slowing down. You're not thinking, no critical thought anywhere. And you're wondering why a man will not get anywhere near you. You're wondering why a man will not approach you.
I think my generation is so messed up in terms of texting and dating. Because for my parents in like middle school, they were definitely not texting about dating. Like they were actually going up to people and asking them out. But in my middle school, when everybody was running around like afraid of boys, we could still text them. And we could text them all day and say that we were dating and never actually speak to them in real life.
I'm getting ready to end a 20-year friendship, and I am ashamed to say at my big age, it is over a man. As a backstory, I had a friend who was having an event, so he sent a message to the group about the event. Now, the guy that I am interested in sent a message to the group stating that he was sick and would not be able to attend. Now, my friend, a female friend, knew that I was interested in this guy. I was just trying to fill out the situation and figure out how I was going to approach the situation. Well, they live pretty close together, so she decided that she was going to drop him off some food because he was sick. And so she did that. A few days later, he contacted her to thank her for the kind gesture and offered to repay her with dinner. Now, she contacted me to let me know everything that happened and and asked me how I felt about it. I told her that she was grown and she can do whatever she wanted to do. So she ended up saying yes and accepting the dinner invitation. And since then, they have kind of been dating and interested in one another and wanting to pursue that. I've been feeling some type of way about it, and I expressed that to her. She mentioned to me about my comments saying that she was grown and she can do whatever she wanted to do. But really, I said that because I felt that if she was truly my friend, she would not accept an invitation from him to go to dinner or anything else. So she doesn't understand why I'm upset and why I'm backing off of this friendship. And she's wondering why it's such a big deal. But I just can't move forward with our friendship knowing that she betrayed me in this type of way.
What they say again? I'm looking for an emotionally available man, emotionally mature, emotionally stable, emotionally intelligent, somebody that can communicate effectively. But this is what you get from modern women. This is what they call a girl's girl. This is the friendship that you get from modern women. So this is what men are walking away from. Women that try to gaslight you, try to play the victim, they were going to do what they want anyway. This is what men have been trying to tell you. Modern women don't care about anybody's feelings, not from their friends, not from the family, not from their dog. When they're ready to do something, they're going to do it regardless of how you feel about it. They don't care who they cross, who they break down. And it's one of the major reasons why men are walking away from dating.
Gen Z teens want less sex on screen, according to a UCLA study. 44% of the young people aged 13 to 24 say that romance in media is overused. 39% would like to see more depictions of aromantic or asexual characters. 48% report that sex is not necessary for the majority of TV shows and the plots. Young people are also having less sex than their parents did at that age, and many prefer to stay single. Why do you think that is? How do you think the media has affected your relationship with sex? Let's talk about it. Comment below.
According to a recent survey, 38% of 18 to 30-year-olds didn't have a sexual partner in the past year. It's the highest rate ever. What is happening?
How has human behavior changed in terms of dating?
What you don't get a lot of anymore is guys going up to girls and starting a conversation. What they end up doing is they find out who the girl is, and then they'll go home and snap him or Instagram or slide in the DMs. Hey, saw you in the bar last night. I'm like, guy, she was standing in front of you for 3 hours. Right? It's like, what are we doing? And the problem is, the one guy that's got a bit of balls about him, and he walks over to a group of girls and he starts conversating with them, all of a sudden they're looking at me going, Rishi, what's this guy's deal? He's a bit of a weirdo, right? I said, no, he's not a weirdo. He's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to talk to you. I just think that the fact that the guys aren't going up to girls that much anymore, it's like that's been normalized. So the guy that does it is outside the realm of like normality. So basically they're looking at him weird, like he's got an ulterior motive or something. Back in the day, you had to scrape people out of the bar at 3:59. Now, we could be packed at 2:45 a.m. By 3 o'clock, everyone's gone home. Because one of the main reasons you stay beyond 3 o'clock on the weekend is you're trying to make things happen. You're trying to make that magic happen. Sometimes you need every minute you can get, right? But now it's like, if they're not going to do that and they're not going to approach girls, they might as well just go home and DM them straight away, right? So now the club scene, 10, 15 years ago, dude, it was like a track meet. The thing to do was like every 5 minutes you'd do a lap around the building trying to get a good vantage point, trying to catch eye contact with a girl. The thing was, you saw a girl, you walk up to her and you start dancing with her. Grind with her. Not gonna get like too explicit here, but like if you started doing some of those moves back in the day, dude, you are in jail right now, my friend. I think it's just that men have changed.
Do you think Gen Z is good in relationships?
No. Definitely not.
Why do you think so?
Because, we're all introverts. We just like to hang out in our rooms.
Gen Z, they don't care about the relations that deeply that much, I think.
People are young, bro. People are, sometimes people aren't looking for a relationship and all that. When someone's ready, they're ready. I don't think it's any different than any other generation.
I don't know about good, but I do think Gen Z is more aware of like other issues. I feel like that maybe past generations were not as aware of, but I'd say maybe it's slightly better.
Gen Z tends to prefer like casual relationships.
So maybe in that perspective, it's less good. I don't know.
Ready to do what?
I'm sending my brothers a Snapchat. We keep each other updated through Snapchat. That's how we keep each other updated. You want to say hi? Peace out.
So the caption here is, you're dating a Gen Z girl, from his perspective, from his point of view. And basically what's happening here is that she's showing him, hey, I'm on Snapchat. He don't even know what Snapchat is. And so you have women in the comments talking about, ew, how old is he? What's the age gap? Modern women are going to continue to be lonely. Modern women collectively might walk themselves into one of the loneliest generations ever. They do all this work, all of these trips just to be lonely. Why? Because they can't keep their mouth off of other women, off of other people in general. Modern women have a serious problem shutting up and with jealousy and envy, honestly.
Half of Gen Z men no longer actively even trying to date. They're not even trying. And so the question is, well, why is that happening for women? Women, first off, are dating older. They want more economically and emotionally viable men, and that usually means older men. In addition, when young women are lonely, they have much better social networks. They have much stronger friend networks, whereas guys become kind of lone wolves and kind of literally sequester from everyone and everything.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. Gen Z dating, Gen Z relationships have taken on some weird dynamic. Somebody in the comments, he's 22, he said, I've completely stopped looking at women. Somebody else said, I'd rather just focus on myself. So that just speaks to men, when dating, not approaching women anymore. They just, a woman's going to be like this. She's going to go for this type of man anyway. I'm just going to focus on doing what I'm doing. And when I get there to where women look at me, then I can play the game how I want to play the game. So essentially, the investment that modern women are making today is screwing them because they're thinking long term. And the man is just saying, okay, well, my next move is going to be in the game of chess because you guys are playing checkers. My next move is going to be the long game. I'm going to get this, acquire this. And then when I get there, I'm not going to be loyal to you like you weren't loyal to me.
Well, because we live in the most selfish generation ever that thinks about themselves and puts how can they profit out of this love of this relationship? What are they getting? What are they gaining? What's this person bringing to my life? What are they adding? When the reality is that love was never about gaining. It was always about giving. It was always about loss. You take the L. That's exactly why they call it falling in love, because the sense of you has to die. The sense of your pride and ego and what you think yourself has to go in order to make something bigger than yourself work. That's why it was always called love, because it was always about giving more to get more. But no, not here. And you wonder why a lot of the relationships and the dating things, you don't work, that nothing works. You have no good prospects. Your dating doesn't go well. You can't seem to click with anybody because it's all about you. We live in a generation where it's all revolves around you. The world revolves around you and what you need and what matches your needs. It's all about the selfishness. When in reality, you got to drop that selfishness to get to a point where you get to actually build love. Love is built over time, but it's built through loss. It's built through loss of something bigger than yourself. You got to give up on the nonsense and in areas of yourself, your ego and your pride, to gain something. We don't want to do that. We want to get. Oh well.